Tonight we're going to explore a bit about who we are according to the stories of our life. Now, from the creation of the world, God's story unfolds. It's told, it's retold, so that all may know the love of God. The story is voiced, it's written, it's acted out in great detail. And we, the listeners, are also a contributing author. Our storylines are non-fiction. Our story is true. We have a beginning and a conclusion to our story, both in God. The chapters in between are our efforts to follow Christ. What we say, how we behave, what we write. Today's readings illustrate different parts of that story. And it's for the benefit of the listeners. That's why year after year after year, the story can be told and retold, because it doesn't lose its truth. It doesn't water down the content, but it makes it more approachable in how we look at how is it woven into our life. Now, wisdom is really an instruction, and God is described in this particular passage of wisdom. God is described in terms of mercy and forgiveness. Most of the time, God is described as power and might and strength. But now God is described as mercy and forgiveness, calling his creation to wholeness. St. Paul, in his letter to the Thessalonians, is writing them encouragement to remain strong in the faith in the midst of their persecution. They are struggling in that time in history. And he's asking them, be hopeful, not fearful. Jesus and Zacchaeus, it's a wonderful story. And as many times as we've heard the story, if I were to read this gospel passage again and ask you to close your eyes and listen to it, I'll bet you could follow along the storyline and it would take shape on your screen as it went across. There we have Zacchaeus, short, can't see through the crowd, runs ahead of the crowd, climbs a sycamore tree just to see Jesus. What prompted him to want to do that? Why was that so important for him? Because we're hearing later on, he's a sinner, he's a tax collector. But that doesn't disturb Jesus, because he gets to the tree and he puts out the invitation, come down, I must today stay at your house. That might have been pretty shocking for those people who said, well, look, the sinner, he's a sinner. Zacchaeus is a sinner. And they make a judgment. And interestingly enough, not in this gospel is there a denial of that fact. It's acknowledged. It's owned, not denied. That's what puts hope into this passage. And what is the reasoning that Jesus does this? Well, he tells us, the Son of Man has come to seek and save what was lost. Zacchaeus has a change of heart. He experiences conversion. He begins to realize what he has been doing and how wrong it has been. And so he steps forward and says, I will make retribution. If I have done this, I will make a change. I will pay back. And I will also, unspoken, change my heart to begin to follow the Lord more fully. All that in that short story. But the characters in the story are the ones who give us the inspiration that we might accept that same challenge in our own lives. Although no one is going to climb a tree to see us, we do rub elbows with everybody day in and day out. People we work with, our family members, those that we go to school with. All of those people are present in our lives, and they become a part of our story. And we all have a great story to experience. And I'd like you to take the opportunity to do that. You know, if you have a journal, that's wonderful. If you have just a pad of paper, that'll do. But take the time to sit down and think about your story. What does your story look like and sound like? And who are the people that are so much a part of your story? Those that you are joyful about and embrace, and then there are those that give you a little bit more challenge. And you have to figure out, how am I going to live lovingly according to Christ's teachings in a relationship with these people? Because that's the call. That's the invitation. How do I take someone who seems to be a bit aggravating and not look at them in terms of their behavior? And because you don't like their behavior, it's easy to label them as bad or judge them. Well, Jesus and Zacchaeus were judged. But you know, the common ground in all of this is that each one of us is the same person that Jesus came to seek out and save: those who were in sin and those who were lost, those who were disengaged from God's plan. And there's times that we're disengaged. When we go off on our own, we fail to pray, fail to consult God on what's going on. So, what would your story look like and sound like if you were to describe your life and faith? And recognizing those times and not trying to disregard them that were your challenge and your struggle. How did you deal with that? How did you reconcile those times so that you could continue on according to God's plan? So our stories are very much a part of God's creation. And the story that we tell is not just our story, but it's the story of those who are taking part. It's the story of God as He's given it to us. And it's a wonderful story because we have been created in God's image and likeness. And we have been given and are continuing to receive everything that we need in word and sacrament to strengthen us and encourage us on our faith journey. So this week, spend a little time in thanksgiving and in prayer for what God has done for you and continues to do for you, and how you are called to celebrate that. It's a gift. It's a gift to be shared. So I invite you to do that.